Welcome, one and all, back to the Viper's Nest, where it's been almost a week since my last upload. Sorry about that, but it's the holidays, so to say I've been a bit busy, well, that's an understatement. Anyway, today we're not talking about lore, we are going to be questioning lore, or a lack thereof, I guess. As you can see on the screen, we're talking about Resident Evil 2, which is still my favorite game of all time. It's my top comfort game whenever I'm having a tough day. If I can just have a few minutes to sit down, immerse myself into the RPD, maybe walk around, shoot some zombies for a couple of minutes, I'll usually feel a bit better about things. But anyway, it's one of those games that hardly ever leaves my hard drive unless absolutely necessary. And I've been playing it again because I play through it bare minimum once a year. Oftentimes, quite a few more times than a year. Like I said, I think on my top 5 games videos, I can usually complete a full playthrough of both scenarios in, at this point, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours usually. So it doesn't take me that long to finish a run through the game. But something I've been noticing, I guess more recently now that I've been playing it, is Claire uses some very, very unusual weapons in Resident Evil 2, both the original and the 2019 version. And that got me thinking, how does she know how to use those weapons? The thing is, at least as far as like the main numbered games of the Resident Evil series go, Capcom is usually pretty good about, I guess, policing themselves on this kind of thing. Like, I don't think you play as a civilian in these games very often. Let me run through my mental checklist real quick. In Resident Evil 1, you play as Chris and Jill, who are both ex-military and members of STARS. In 2, you play as Leon and Claire. One's a rookie police officer, the other's a civilian. In 3, you play as Jill and Carlos, who are both, military operatives / law enforcement. In 4, you play as a government-trained Leon Kennedy. As 5, you play as Chris and Sheva, who are members of the BSAA. In 6, you play as Leon, Helena, Sherry, Jake, Chris, Piers, and Ada. And all of them, save for Jake and Ada, are like, veteran military operatives. Jake is an experienced mercenary, and Ada is, well, she's Ada. In 7, you play as Ethan, who is a civilian. And in 8, you play as Ethan, who has had military training, plus a segment where you play as Chris, who's been doing this shit for like 20 years at this point. So, like in number 7, when you play as Ethan, it's very obvious that even though he's somewhat familiar with firearms, he's not what you would call like trained with them. He's not that great at it. But going back to Resident Evil 2, so I'm willing to suspend a lot of disbelief because, end of the day, this is a video game we're talking about here, and allowances for video games have to be made. Like the fact that just having a box full of handgun ammo in your inventory somehow also just allows you to reach in there and magically it's in either like a magazine or a speed loader for Claire's revolver. It's not how ammo works, but okay, it's a video game. But I bring up Claire's weapons training because, like I said, Resident Evil's usually pretty good about not really putting weapons in the hands of like civilians, like almost at all. Like even in Resident Evil Revelations 2, when you have Barry's daughter Moira with you, I mean, there's a reason she doesn't use guns, because she hates guns. But that also doesn't stop her from, being willing to enter melee combat because, civilians understand that, apply blunt object to the head of monster usually produces results. And like even looking at the Resident Evil Outbreak series, which Capcom. Look, I'm sure that Resident Evil Reverse and Resident Evil Resistance are great games and all that, but if you want if you want to make good Resident Evil multiplayer, just come on, re-release Outbreak 1 and 2. I would so love to play through those games again, even if it's by myself. But if I could play through it with my friend Noodle again, man, even fucking better. Anyway, so in Outbreak File 1 and 2, the crew is made up of mostly civilians and two, well, I guess one's not really an officer of the law, but anyway, so most of the crew in the Outbreak games are, everyone can fight, but not everyone's good at it. Like, speaking strictly from a base level here, like, once you understand the underlying mechanics of the game, you can take anyone in Outbreak and turn them into just an absolute killing machine. Like, especially Jim, the subway worker, with his lucky coin mechanic where you can stack like 15% increases to crits by doing his coin flip thing and then doing power swing with a melee weapon. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, the only combat savvy people in that game, I'm going to say, are Kevin, the RPD officer, Mark, the security guard, and David, the plumber. Now, David does seem kind of like an odd man out, and he sort of is, but some of the items, like the personal items you can find of his around the game, hint at a somewhat shady past, and judging by how he actually aims his gun when he uses a gun, I'm going to assume he's like an ex-gangster, probably. But even then, his combat abilities come more from the fact that he's able to, like, improvise together weapons out of junk that tend to be really good. Whereas Mark and Kevin are both very, very good at firearms, and I think it's Kevin even starts with like a 45 handgun that is like, it's not quite a Magnum, but it's pretty fucking close. Anyway, the other members of the party, despite being civilians, all have things that lean more toward like non-combat stuff. Like George is good at healing people. Cindy, the waitress, has like an extra carrying case for herbs. Yoko has a backpack that allows her to carry more items. Jim has his lucky coin and he can look at a map and like all the obtainable items are automatically displayed on the map. Alyssa has the lockpicks. Like, they all have things that aren't strictly combat because they're civilians. Why would they really know much, if not all, about combat other than, grab blunt object, hit monster with it? Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. It's been a while since I recorded. I might be a little bit out of practice, and I'm tired. Sorry. Anyway, going back to Claire, I am willing to give Claire some leniency because in the novels, which I know are non-canon, and I'm 99% sure it's mentioned somewhere in one of the games somewhere that, she's Chris's younger sister, and Chris has given her some form of training, like self-defense training. Like, she knows her way around knives, handguns. I mean, he's probably, like, when they were in Raccoon City or whatever, he probably took her down to, like, the police department and got her on the shooting range and familiarized her with guns. So I'm going to assume Claire is familiar with knives, handguns, shotguns, and I'm even willing to give her the submachine gun because Claire's a pretty smart lady. It'd probably take her a few minutes, but once she, looks the submachine gun over, she could probably going to say to herself, all right, the ammo goes in here. Here's the chambering mechanism. Here's the safety. Here's the trigger. Here's the iron sights. I'm good to go. And then we get into some of her, we're going to get into her oddball weapons now. I guess going in the order which she likely acquires the weapons in the game. So the first is the M79 grenade launcher. Now this is another one that I might be willing to let Claire slide on because I've been in the presence of an M79 grenade launcher before, and it's not a difficult weapon to operate, I'm gonna say. I mean, there's really not all that much to it. But there is a large difference between being able to operate a weapon and being able to operate a weapon safely. So if, like, someone shoved a M79 grenade launcher into my hands and said, like, go out onto the back range and shoot this thing, I would probably tell them no, because despite the fact that I know how to operate the weapon, I am not trained to operate the weapon safely. And also, the weapon in Resident Evil does not operate the same way the weapon in real life does. Like, you can shoot a zombie point blank with the grenade launcher and it's, going to go up in flames or whatever. It's not actually how it works. I can't remember if it's distance or rotation, but the shell fired from the grenade launcher either has to cover a certain amount of distance or go through a certain number of rotations before the fuse inside is armed, and then it will detonate. I'm sure you've seen it in like a lot of Call of Duty replays or whatever, where someone hits someone else with a grenade launcher point blank, and you just kind of watch the shell impact the person, they die, and then it just kind of bounces off and rolls away. I mean, yeah, sure, it didn't explode, but you're still taking a 40 millimeter projectile right to the chest at point blank range. You're going to be seriously injured, if not outright killed. Anyway, where the hell was I going with this? Right, so, like I said, allowances will be made. I have no doubt that Claire could figure out how to operate the grenade launcher, but I highly doubt she would be able to operate it safely. I can't honestly see Chris having trained Claire on how to use grenade launchers, but it's I don't know. I feel like the normal person in this situation would probably pick up the grenade launcher and take it with them, but I highly doubt they would use it. And if Claire is even partially familiar with the operation of grenade launchers, there's no way she would want to be using it indoors against zombies at conversation distance. But like I said, this one I might give this one a slide because it's actually a fairly simple weapon to at least figure out how to operate. So then we get to her next weapon, the spark shot, and this is one that I don't think I can let this one slide. I'm not going to put a picture of it on the screen or anything because I don't have a picture handy and I don't feel like going to get one, but basically it's a big yellow taser the size of like a shotgun. And if I remember correctly, in game, it was express built for the purposes of like hunting down and capturing like escaped test subjects from the Umbrella Lab. And you find it, of all places, like in the fucking sewer. Like in a really out of the way place in the sewer too. Like it's not in a place where it would be easily accessible to get to if something did escape and get into the sewers, which, spoiler alert, something did escape and got into the sewers. But it's a long range, big ass taser that you operate like a pump action shotgun. And I looked around the last time I went through the game where you acquire the spark shot, and I don't see an operations manual for the spark shot anywhere nearby. So again, I'm sure if she wanted to, Claire could take the time to figure out how to operate this weapon. But at the same time, it's such an oddball, weird weapon that I don't honestly understand why Claire would just see it and then be like, all right, well, this is coming with me now. Like, especially with, limited inventory slots. Like, where I found it the first time, I was already carrying my pistol, the grenade launcher, and I think the submachine gun, because the spark shot is at the end of an area that's, very well known as the Organ Trail, Organ Trail, and, God, it's my least fucking favorite part of the game. It's just one big, massive fucking ammo and defensive item dump, and I hate it. Anyway, point is, this one, even more so than the grenade launcher, I don't see Claire, like, walking up on this thing, looking at it, and just being like, yeah, cool, I'm taking this now. It's like, it's such a weird weapon that you would have to, like, sit down and figure out how it works. Plus, you're definitely not in any danger of finding a whole lot of ammo for it unless you already know where to look, like you've played the game before. But, like, if you got the spark shot and then needed to go back up to the RPD for something, there's literally only one place you can get spark shot ammo in the RPD, and even then, only if you found the secret film, which tells you where it's hidden, which also, who the hell is hiding spark shot ammo in the RPD? That's another thing. It's like, of all the weird places, you know what? I take that back. It's in the press room, and I can understand wanting to tase a member of the press if it came down to it. But yeah, no, the spark shot is just, it's such a weird weapon that Claire should have no real reason to understand how to operate or use. And then we get to our final weapon, the M134 minigun, or at least what I'm assuming is the M134 minigun. That's usually what Hollywood goes to when they need a handheld Gatling gun. Now, I've never been in the presence of one of these things. I don't know how it operates, and I'm probably never likely to. But this is definitely an issue of Claire sees this thing. She should not just be able to pick it up and use it. It doesn't make any freaking sense. As far as I know, like I said, I've never handled one of these things, and I'm probably never going to get to. And, like, another instance of kind of breaking reality here. If I remember correctly, the Gatling gun comes with either 400 or 600 rounds just in the gun, and they're pretty big bullets. I want to say they're probably 7.62 bullets, maybe? I'm not entirely sure. Let me Google that real quick. I can at least do that. M134 minigun. Come on, Google. Fucking cooperate with me here. Are you really gonna make me get up and go get my phone? It's all the way over there. God, fucking internet. I hate it so much. Alright, let's try this again. M134 minigun ammo. What do you mean the site cannot be reached? Don't give me that crap. Are you okay there, Brigadier General? You're, running around quite a bit. Alright, well, my computer is kind of being a shit, so, and I don't want to let this question go, so I am gonna get up and go get my phone to Google this. Misplaced my phone. There it is. Okay, I am back. And I have my phone. So, let's try Googling this shit again. M134 minigun ammo. Okay, the M134 minigun does in fact take 7.62 millimeter ammunition. Good to know. Now, as I was saying, this gun holds either 400 or 600 rounds in the game, and like a tiny little ammo pack the size of a lunchbox. Somehow, now call me crazy here, somehow I don't see this minigun holding 400 to 600 rounds in a tiny little box mag. I don't see it happening. Now, so those are Claire's very oddball weapons that she picks up throughout the game. And this really stands out, especially in comparison to like Leon's campaign, where Leon gets the handgun, the shotgun, the magnum, and the rocket launcher. And flamethrower. Flamethrower is an oddball one for Leon. But the thing is, Leon, being an RPD officer, even though he's a rookie, will probably be trained on handguns, shotguns, maybe rocket launchers? I kind of doubt it. He also gets, like, flashbang and regular grenades. I could see police being trained on those as well. Point is, Leon would have training with most, if not all, of the weapons he picks up throughout his campaign, whereas Claire, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. This is the part where I'm questioning the lore here. So if you run across this video and you do have like an in-lore explanation as to where and why Claire knows how to like pick up these very strange weapons and is able to use them with perfect proficiency outside of, let it go, Jack, it's a fucking video game. Let me know in the comments. I would be interested, because I've read a lot of Resident Evil lore, but I have not read all of Resident Evil lore. So if you can tell me why Claire is capable of doing this, I'd appreciate it. And understand, I'm not talking shit on Claire. I love Claire. She's a playable character in one of my favorite video games ever. It's just, I don't know, the older I get, the more I like just naturally start to nitpick these little details. Like, why the hell does Claire know how to use a giant shotgun taser? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But anyway, that's gonna be all for the video today. Thank you very much for listening. Like, subscribe, leave an answer to my question if you happen to have one. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next episode. As always, have yourself a wonderful day.